I need one of your sayings to say what you guys did today.
How did y'all like that one? That was some fun, wasn't it? I tell you what, I'm proud of these guys, and I'm happy for them. They fought their tails off. You know, we created a little adversity and overcame it and fought through it. And you see them smiling right now in that success. And I do believe that puts us in first place in the Pac-2 Conference. So let's go.
Hey, that's 2 in a row. If you win 3 in a row, that's what they call a winning streak. Josh Hill, I didn't see you this weekend, unfortunately, but Corvallis was electric over the weekend. Honestly, couldn't have asked for a better weekend. The rain cleared up right before the game. It was a beautiful Saturday night for some football, and it wasn't a very pretty offensive game for sure. As you can tell, I was yelling a lot when the boys were on defense because the boys were on defense quite a bit, and I am laboring with this voice right now. But, hey, I'll yell Jaheim Patterson's name all night. Josh, buddy, feels good to win 2 in a row. How you doing, man?
Feels good, man. We're coming off a big win against what felt like a very good football team, and we got something in common for us this year, Rob. We were both in Corvallis and saw this football team grab some dubs, so it feels good, right? It feels like one of us has to be there for this team to win right now, but I think our guest might have some of that look also.
He might, and he's been there for all of them pretty much, and that is Beavers Edge writer Ryan Harlan. You guys can follow him on X at Ryan_Harlan7. Ryan, buddy, how you doing, man? It's been quite a football season for you, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, that might be putting it too generously, right? Like, it seems like, every single day or every single week, something new happens, something new comes around that we have to all cover, and feels like I haven't gotten much sleep, if anything, from this entire season. Just very, very draining, but at least a little bit from over the weekend. And yeah, I can't complain. I mean, 2 wins in a row, especially 2 in a game where 17 punts happened. Beautiful. A Sickos Committee certified hood classic, if I do say so myself. Like, that was I was content. It's like, regardless of the final score, I was content with that. That was perfect.
I was going to mention the Sickos game, dude. I mean, 10 points, 10 punts, 7 points, 7 punts. I mean, it's just so hilarious how this whole thing works. But, Ryan, most writers during a 2-7 season are just kind of like, all right, we'll do a coaching search article here and there. We'll try to find some interesting stories to fill time before basketball season. But it has been anything but that for you for the season. From head coach and deputy AD firings now to NIL deals with Blueprint and to player arrest today with Exodus Ayers. How have you been balancing all of this season, dude?
I mean, you kind of have to just take it as it goes, right? Like, that was kind of even today too with the Exodus news that broke. We were all like, of course, another thing to happen during a Monday, right before Rob Akey speaks to us. So, it's at least it's just keeping your head above water and trying to split your attention as much as possible. Now, if I were still in school and this all kind of happened, I don't think I'd be able to survive at this point, to be quite honest with you. Like, there's some days where, like, I thought, being a student reporter was hard. I'm like, God, I feel for those at the Daily Barometer during all this that are writing sports. It's just like, it's always something new every single day. And it's like realignment, but on steroids, of just like, if it's not one thing, it's another thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And for the people that can't see Ryan right now, he's currently sitting in his car, soaking wet, looking like he hasn't slept in 2 months. So we're not going to contemplate how hard this man's working right now. But we've had a lot of people on X ask you some questions. We normally don't kind of get that much of a response, but that just shows some credibility to you. But let's dig right into it, right into that Blueprint stuff that you've been working on for a while now, that's consumed most of your life. And our friend Jim Clapsaddle asked a few things, but I just want to ask one of his questions. He asked, quote, what is the actual or estimated final financial hit on the shredding of that contract with Blueprint? Is it 800K-ish, question mark?
Not anymore. No. Initially, before Blaylock's dismissal, parting of ways, however you want to call it, however you want to phrase it, it was going to be 850K. However, I did confirm from what Canzano reported that they are negotiating down the buyout into the range of somewhere around 150 to 284K. The exact number obviously still kind of unknown, but That's part of the kind of losses that you have in addition to paying the 284 almost 300K management fee. So it's a little more palatable, I would say, from in terms of the buyout, all things considered. Now, if it was still at 850K, yeah, it looks a little bit worse, but they're at least negotiating everything down for the most part. So it's a little more doable, all things considered. So it's better than what it was.
That's a much more manageable number, and that's not as nearly as scary as a number either. And this one is from Tyler Trout. He asks, "Is another outside company coming to replace Blueprint at OSU?" And I ask this question a lot to all of our guests. Will Oregon State get a GM?
In terms of outside companies, I mean, you still have Learfield there, so you could do something through them and
Which
Payfly,
has
right? Which has its benefits and its negatives. But I don't currently see kind of somebody really occupying that space right now. Maybe more so down the line whenever they decide to officially buy out the contract. And then in terms of a general manager, I'm like, you need a general manager. You had one, but he's no longer there anymore. So general manager's big. It takes a lot of kind of that, stress off the coaches in terms of negotiating those NIL deals and being on top of that kind of stuff. A guy that's your point person of being able to have enough money to build a roster.
Yeah, and we talk about it all the time, just the importance of having a general manager, especially with a lot of these college football programs having a general manager. I'm going to put you on the spot here and kind of go off topic, but is there maybe a person or two in your mind that you can think of off the top of your head that you would want to fill that role?
I mean, I will be a little biased and say Kyle definitely would have been able to fill that role pretty well. But like, if there is somebody that would be sans Kyle right now, I would say Tim Ewis would definitely be somebody with some football knowledge as well, like a dedicated football general manager, like somebody that's been around for a bit, like a Steven Jackson too would be somebody that knows roster construction, knows the game, knows what's kind of needed to succeed in college football today. Like we're in a different world now where you could skirt by without having a general manager in years prior, but like now I think it's more or so kind of just the bare minimum to have because all these other programs have a dedicated general manager and you see the success that they have. So I think Oregon State needs to kind of get into that sort of mindset of like, if we're truly top of the Pac 12 next year, being able to be up there with Washington State, you got to make every investment possible to make that happen.
And before you get to your question, Josh, we had Tim Ewis on a few weeks ago, and we kind of brought it up to him if he was interested, and he was like, "I don't know how to even make the first step as a general manager," but
Yeah.
he is an interesting person because he's in Corvallis. He loves university, and we do have a question about him later. His comments recently with the President Murphy thing, but he's interesting. I like the Steven Jackson thought, and with his son on the roster currently, it'd be interesting. I feel like Steven is a very bright mind in football. It really just comes down to Scott Barnes and how easy or tough he is to work with. So I digress. Josh, go ahead. Sorry, bud.
Now onto the field talk. Josh Harley asks, from your perspective, Ryan, what is fueling this team to win? Is it to avenge Bray's firing? Is it their own disappointment in their performance thus far, or is it just new leadership?
I think it's a bit of performance that has been on the field, and in addition, new leadership. Like Aki is definitely kind of a rah kind of guy that brings a lot of energy. That you like, he's a very commanding presence when he comes into the room. He's there. You pay attention. You're fully locked in on what he has to say, and then also like kind of how this year has gone, right? Like 0-7, nobody expected that to start out the year. Like none of us did. Especially in the media. We did not. We were thinking 8-4, 9-3, like definitely not 0-7. So I would say, yeah, some of that, a little bit of playing for Bray kind of is in there for kind of each and every single player. But I wouldn't say that's the overarching theme to what's been kind of fueling them in the back half. And like It's funny. Coach Marshall came in post game and did his best Rob Akey impression, and that got Ryan Clark and also myself too, and a few others sitting there because we thought it was Akey coming in. So like the vibes are high, and I think it's just what like a new voice and a guy that everybody kind of wants to rally around in these final 5 games in Akey. So I'd say it's a lot of more new voice in the room, and then in addition, just kind of like they don't want to, go out with a poor season, try to salvage it as best you can, and have something positive to hang your hat on and be like, hey, look, yeah, while the season didn't go out the way that we wanted it to, at least we got something out of it. Can end our careers at Oregon State if you're a senior on a high note. So I would say that's kind of how I interpret kind of this kind of late surge the Beavers find themselves in.
And it's funny with Coach Marshall kind of doing a Rob Akey impression. He's just so his voice is just so infatuating. Like he's such a happy sounding person, and he's a pack a day kind of dude. But he's just so positive. And if things keep going with the spark, like he always talks about gasoline to a spark, make it explode. Things can get really
Mentioned that
interesting here.
today.
He did. I
Yeah.
know. And I love listening to him speak. I mean, compared to Trent and Jonathan, like this, it's a fun listen. It really is. And things could get interesting going forward. Our friend OB Vaughn actually, and pretty much all of us want to know just your thoughts about realistic head coaching candidates for Oregon State.
In terms of realistic coaching candidates, I will say, depending on what happens in these final 3 games, Akey should get a fair consideration for it. Now, I don't necessarily think, the guy, right, to hire off of this kind of 5 game sample size, but like a fair shake, I definitely think is warranted. In terms of realistic candidates, I really do like an FCS coach, but I don't think you'll get Brent Vegan because Wazzu tried to go after him last year and he said no. So that's something there where I'm like, he might be off the table. I do also like, Brian Harson as a potential, like, hey, a guy that's a coordinator that you could theoretically get. But at the end of the day, though, I think everybody needs to remember Scott Barnes is making the hire. And so any of these candidates that myself or any other, writer throws out on our hot boards, like, remember who's making the call at the end of the day. And it's more of there's a lot of pressure, a lot of onus to nail the right hire, and you need a guy that can basically come in from the jump and at least make you competitive to start out 2026 in the newly rebuilt Pac-12. Because if not, um, I just, yeah, I think there's going to be even more scrutiny kind of on this hire, whoever that might be. But I don't see a Coach O coming here, to be quite honest. As much as I'd like it for a coverage standpoint, it'd be great. It'd be entertaining. But like from a football standpoint, I'm like, you would need to do a lot of things to make him successful in year one, should you, hire him, right? So I think you're gonna need probably a guy that can be a really good recruiter first and foremost. Like that's my like biggest criteria that I kind of have in whoever this new head coach might be. It's kind of a long-winded way to say like I don't know who it is, but it's more of a like there are so many options out there, and you just kind of know who's making the call, that you're kind of like, are you going to make the splashy hire that's going to get Oregon State back to where it was, like, and the lack of confidence, I understand that. Like I kind of feel that way too. It's a very big, like, you got to nail this kind of deal. Like that's how I look at it.
With the hiring committee that was put into this to help Scott with this hire, and we, like you said, we all know how crucial this is. I don't know if you know the answer to this or not, but are they actually going to play a decent role or an important role in hiring the next head coach?
I would hope so, but Scott Barnes is also leading that hiring committee too. So at the end of the day, right, like whoever they decide to come up with as the best candidate to fill that vacancy for next year, Scott Barnes has final say. So yeah, I hope they have a good amount of input into this, but I don't think they will, just because of Barnes being the one to make the call at the end of the day. Like that's how I look. That's kind of how it is. It's like I like who they picked in, Brandon Cooks and Mike Riley, right? Guys that have been around the game of football. Like Cooks has been very outspoken as well too on a lot of Oregon State related matters. Like I just don't know how much their weight is going to be carried into this next coaching search.
Per source, Ryan Harlan, we are cooked, chat.
Wouldn't say that necessarily. I like got to remind people, I understand it's fun speculating, but also to remember who's making the call at the end of the day. That's what you gotta keep in the back of the mind.
Well, speaking of Scott Barnes, we recently saw President Murphy sit down with John Canzano, and she spoke about her faith in Scott. This has sparked a lot of worry and frustration within Beaver Nation. We've seen some pretty upset comments on her LinkedIn post on X from former players like Tim Ewis saying that he's, quote, out. Is it too early to fully commit to Scott into this new conference with the lawsuit still needing to take place?
I have to go to the Ryan Clark School of Plausible Deniability and say I think there needs to be a little more from leadership in general. I think there needs to be a little more kind of onus of not trying to do the same thing or keep things the standard, right? Because kind of the standard and the mindset of this whole built not bought mentality and is something that's not going to get you far anymore. Like I understand what Tim Ewis was saying about that. Like it was fine in 2023, but now it's like, hey, look, like we're well past that. We're in a spot now where you have a certain future, you have a certain certainty of who your next conference opponent is going to be, rather than it just being Wazoo, right? Like those are things to me where I think leadership needs to take a step forward and trying to be like, hey, look, if we're truly the top of the Pac-12, we need to start acting like it. Like we can't just continue to cycle through what the standard has been and say, oh yeah, well, it's been this whole we're uprooted from our conference. Teams have left us. This is not the same as it was pre 2023 anymore. Like we get that. We're well past that now. I think it's now growing and adapting to where you're at and making those tough calls. I think going forward because the lawsuit doesn't look great from what's being alleged in there, and I think it just further magnifies kind of everything that has come out in recent weeks with the blueprint stuff, and there needs to be some accountability too at the same time from leadership, right? Because it's the same thing with blueprint, and it's the same when I talked about that with on radio and with a few others. It's like the buck ultimately stops with Scott Barnes. Even though Blaylock was let go, the buck stops with Scott Barnes because he's the leader of the athletic department. And so there is a good amount of warranted scrutiny around that because the deal was not good for Oregon State. It was more advantageous for Blueprint. And on this side of things, I would say it's kind of similar. It's like it doesn't look good when your athletic director is named in a civil suit. There needs to be some sort of, I would say, accountability at the higher ups of leadership where like at some point you obviously let the legal process play out, but if it's doesn't look good over time, like you need to make those tough calls, and that's what being a leader is kind of all about.
100%. And it's funny today on the Joe Beaver show, Mike Parker was kind of talking about that interview with Canzano and President Murphy, and he kind of mentioned how people may need to start backing off a little bit on Scott, maybe being a little too harsh on him. But to the point that you just made, I think a lot of people are still stuck on that. Oh yeah, the conference realignment thing, like the 10. Yeah. Like you said, that's 2 years ago now. Okay, we need to start looking forward here. Okay, there is more teams coming into this new conference here, and again, like we've been talking about these last few weeks, and everyone's aware this next football coach hire is extremely crucial. And there's just been too much outside noise. And Ryan, I have a couple more things for you guys. And yet again, you guys can follow him on X at Ryan_Harlan7. You've had three parts of this blueprint stuff. Okay. And I believe you said a fourth is coming. If you guys
Yes.
want to read that, it is on Beaver's Edge. It is great stuff. Please go find it. Ryan's doing the Lord's work out here, getting to the nitty gritty. And we're going straight to the source. And it's you, it's John, it's Kyle, all these guys involved, man. When you're digging through all this stuff, Ryan, what has been just like the most shocking thing to you where you're just like, I cannot believe anybody agreed to this?
For me, in kind of a deep dive investigative approach to all this, honestly, it was the Maryland deal. That was the biggest kind of out of left field kind of shocking moment of everything else, because when I looked at other schools, those deals were vastly different. So it was not fair to say like these are true comparisons. And so I could throw them off the table and more of it focus my sights on Maryland. And when I found out Maryland's deal with Blueprint, I didn't get, unfortunately, exact splits and percentages because the source I talked to couldn't give me that. But what I was able to get was the only similarities in that deal were the contract administration fee of 1.25%, the length of the contract, which had just been recently signed. So that was a 3-year deal. And it was more of a partnership where you kind of hit the ground running with Blueprint rather than this whole kind of fundraising approach that Blueprint had with Oregon State. And really, those were like, that was about it. With like where those similarities end was just like the years on the deal and the administration fee. Everything else was vastly different, to where Maryland had more of an advantage to stay in that deal just because of the amount of money that they were getting from it. So Blueprint was losing money basically on their deal with Maryland. So that was kind of the most like shocking, but also too at the same time that was like a I that somehow checks out
Yeah.
with when you look at the contract itself and you kind of break everything down. So that was definitely something that was really eye catching for me when I got that information.
Because we spoke with Florida State General Manager Derek Ray himself, and I think enough time has passed. We did ask him about their connection to Blueprint, and he says we've never had any. And it's funny because there was a report that says that their collective is going with Blueprint, and then he's like, "No, we've never done that," and we had to take that out of our podcast because he's like, "We can't talk about that." So it's like everything that involves this company is just shady. And it's just like there's too much hair in this, dude. And now with Maryland, they just fired their head coach. It just feels like everything who's involved with Blueprint, it just goes to shit like every single time. And it's incredible, dude.
Yeah, and even to Penn State, by the way, I should mention no association with Blueprint either. Like that's also, something that kind of shows you where it's like even like the big schools that they still had on their site had nothing to do with them. So yeah, it's the feeling I get with Blueprint going forward. And even Daniel Levitt wrote an article just basically on how long that they might survive. The feeling I get is not long, at least from people I talked to that were familiar with Blueprint, and them kind of saying that really the whole kind of crux of this, where it all kind of went downhill, was the failed acquisition of the student athlete NIL deal. Like that's kind of where it happened, and it's just kind of gone off the rails since. I mean, when you have a company that changes their business model every 5 years, year to year basis, it's not a recipe for success. Blueprint's been around since 2020, and they've changed who they've been as a company from that. So yeah, that kind of tells you how kind of disorganized a lot of things were for them, and kind of how disorganized this whole rollout has been with Oregon State and Blueprint and running Damnation.
And thankfully, Brent Blaylock is no longer in charge of any of this. Clearly, him and the CEO of Blueprint were buddies. He's just trying to pad some pockets there. And all that thing just it never lined up. It never made any sense. But Ryan, we want to commend you for all the work you've done, man. Getting down and just digging deep and finding out everything about this deal. It's been truly just an anomaly. It's so interesting. Like, how did any of this come to be? And how did it come to fruition? Like, why would anybody do this? And again, it comes down to the athletic director just being very incompetent. So we want to commend you for all your work, man. We appreciate you. I know Beaver Nation really appreciates you and all the work that you do, just getting into it, and then also just covering a football team on the side. It feels like,
Yeah, no, I mean, like the B plot somehow has been more entertaining than the A plot. It's like I never would have thought I would have dove like 2 feet into the deep end on this entire thing. Like my knowledge of NIL and rev share was so minimal going into this story. And like now I've learned a fair amount, a decent amount just from all this. And like I still feel like I'm scratching the surface to a degree because the rev share world is brand new.
Yeah.
Every single school in college football is going to start to figure out how to operate in the rev share world now. And we'll figure out in a year how successful schools will be. But yeah, it's very dense. It's very much trying to make sense of everything. That's what my deep dives have been, because it's such a complex and very difficult topic to understand, where try to distill a bunch of information down as best as I can. And even too with some of those deep dives, it's like try to add in some stuff that I might not have necessarily covered, or some things that weren't properly explained very much well the first time, like the 750K kind of floor. Like I had it wrong initially. I asked around, got a better understanding of it, and I added that into another edition just because people still had questions. I'm like, okay, let me figure out the best way to distill down what I've learned, and you can understand exactly what I learned in asking around to sources and trying to make sense of this entire deal.
Dude, so crazy. Just to end it on a positive note, man, and we have a few more football games left. Basketball starts this week. It starts tonight against North Dakota State. The women play on Friday. Is there anything that you're keeping an eye out for the remainder of this football season, or even upcoming with the basketball season, Ryan?
I will say for the rest of football season, it's just how much you can kind of salvage the year, right? Just see how locked in guys are, and if they keep stacking wins, if they keep, getting more positive momentum from Akey being interim head coach, like I'll take that as kind of sure, it was disappointing, but at least guys kind of got something out of it that may have not have been what they were looking for to start the year. For men's basketball, I will say, from just kind of talking around the team and kind of how Wayne feels about this group, like jokingly wants to lead the nation in 3-pointers, which is a first. But that backcourt, I will say, for men's basketball, really solid. Arguably one of their more, I would say, versatile backcourts that I've seen in my years covering the team. Granted, my first year was the 3-28 season, so any positives from that are much better than that year. But like obviously the front court will need a little bit of work, but that comes with time. That comes with getting more games under your belt and just gelling together and playing a full schedule. And then for women's basketball, I'm really curious to see how their backcourt kind of develops after the losses of Sela Heidi and Kelsey Reese to graduation. But I will say Scott does really like Jenna Villa, the transfer from Washington State, what she can bring. I think she's going to be probably a better AJ Marat in terms of what she can provide on the court. And if Scott doesn't throw around praise lightly, that's the other thing. So he was doing that when we talked to him during media day. And that kind of perked my ears a little bit, where I'm like, oh, okay. So she's going to be somebody I think to look out for as well too. And then Laura Alonso, but for one of the incoming recruits from Spain, she's also really good too. Yeah.
We heard Ron Callan today on the Joe Beaver Show, And he was talking them up too. It sounds like they have a pretty solid squad returning from last year. They were a gritty bunch last year, and now they're picked first in the WCC. So high expectations for these girls. I'm looking forward to them, and I'm looking forward to Malcolm Christie on the men's teams just firing them up, dude. I
Yeah.
love that dude at Oakland, and that dude can chuck it up, and I love those kind of players.
He was saying he reminds the guys every so often that he should have won that game. Oakland should have won that game down in Maui. Um, which is kind of funny. And also too, yeah, I got to talk with Malcolm a little bit. He's yeah, awesome dude. Like I'm excited to see what he can bring to this group this year. So
Hey, man, Ryan, you're the best, dude. We'll let you go. You can get out of your car in your wet hair, dude. We appreciate you being on here with your car light on. You're the
yeah,
best, man. We appreciate
of
it.
course. Yeah, I appreciate you guys
Thanks,
having me
Ryan.
on as always. Thank you.
Ryan Harlan, dude, that guy is working his tail off to get all of you guys information about Blueprint, about the football team, about anything and everything about Oregon State athletics, the department. If you are not reading his stuff, I feel sorry for you, man, because he is as pro as it gets, man. And he was telling us just after we stopped recording about how he's become what he is now as a writer. And he was just starting off on this very basic things, and now he's writing these massive 4-part things about Blueprint. It's just crazy, dude. And a lot of this stuff, again, like I mentioned last week, I don't want to talk about these things, right? I don't like to talk about these things because it's just so stupid. This athletic department just constantly keeps on stepping on their own feet, and it's just so frustrating. And it sucks, man. It really does suck. Like, I think I've been trying my best, Josh, to like ignore it and just kind of, tuck it away for another day. But it's it's a big old car crash. You got to look at it. You got to do some rubbernecking at this Oregon State athletic department. Don't you think?
Just keeps circling you, and it eventually finds you and haunts you again somehow. And it seems like it just doesn't stop. And today, with the news of Exodus getting arrested, like again, like all
It's
the
just,
off the field drama and crap, it just keeps piling. Like
yep,
nothing changes. Every Monday, it's something, and I'm just tired of it.
I know.
We have a 2-game win streak right now, and that's all pushed back because there's so much stuff going on outside this football team. And when you sit 2-7, man, like you gotta find those moral victories. And we finally saw some this weekend, Rob, and you were there in person in Corvallis, Research Stadium, to see the Bees get their second win. How was that experience, dude? I'm sure the crowd was a little bit more there than they were for me against Lafayette, but what were your takeaways? You saw a very interesting game where neither offense could figure it out, and it felt like a defensive battle. And I said very early on, it felt like the Beavs just needed to get 7 one time, and that's what they did, and that was it, Rob.
It's hilarious, dude. I was telling my dad in the middle of the second quarter, I was like, is 14 points going to win this game? Because that's what it felt like, man. And
Yeah.
no one even got to 14. It's so funny, man. But it was an incredible day, dude. It really was. My girlfriend Brittany got to come. It was her first Beaver game. She's been on the field at Research Stadium before, but she hasn't seen a game. And we've been dating for a long time. And typically, football is my thing. I like to do it kind of on my own typically. And she enjoyed the hell out of it. And it's a great college town to be. It's a great place to be on game day. It was my first experience not tailgating in an RV lot my entire life because my dad sold his RV. Some of his other friends, they've either moved or they stopped doing the RV thing because, again, the athletic department kind of just shoves you on the other side of the street, other side of the highway, and they're like, the poor people get to sit in the chicken farm, and the rich donors get to go behind the softball field. And that's been Scott Barnes. He's been doing that since he got there, and he's just been, again, just giving the middle finger to the true tailgating people of Oregon State with their motorhomes and RVs. And my dad's finally had enough of it, so he got rid of it. And we had a very authentic Corvallis experience on game day. We went to Block 15 beforehand. I started my day at Lady Luck Vintage Market where I got this shirt at the store. It's a 2001
Sweet,
Oregon
dude.
State
Sweet.
Beavers Fiesta Bowl shirt, dude. I was at that game, so I was so happy to find a shirt like this. And also, I didn't bring it with me. My girlfriend found a hat, and it's if you guys follow me on Instagram at Rob D Wilson, it's it looks like a coach's hat. I don't know whose coach it was, but I feel like a former coach wore this hat because it just looks like one. And it's not an old hat per se. It has this current OSU on the back of it. So it's just really worn down. And I wore it to the game. They won. So this now becomes my new lucky hat. I have been rotating hats all season long because I'm so superstitious. As a kid growing up playing baseball, I am so superstitious. So I try to do everything different every single week, every time they lose. But that's how I roll. And I found my new hat. So I'm really happy about that. And then went to the Beaver store because, of course, you have to. You got to blow all your money at the Beaver store. And got to talk to John Warren on the radio before the game. Super cool to shake his hand, and because he's been on the podcast with us before. He didn't remember that he was on this podcast, but he has been. So
That's
that was
irrelevant.
cool.
That's irrelevant.
Yeah. But it was cool, man. It was fun to answer some questions. And, like you said, the game was fun. I love defensive battles. And I've been seeing the Beavers and Cougs playing against each other for a very long time. And we've seen it all from the Beavs and Cougs, right? 2019, that basketball score where the total went over 100. And then to last Saturday's game where it's 10-7. It's a baseball score. It's just crazy. But, dude, Josh, 6 sacks. 6. How many did they get last year? Like 7?
Total in
Yeah.
the season?
The whole season? How many do they have coming into the I've lost count. They have gotten a few more sacks as the season has gone on, but like 6, dude, in a game. I would never like fathom that with this and last year's team, just watching them play. But, dude, Shamar Michael and Takari Hickle, dude, they found something. And Shamar's a ball player, dude. He can get after it. Back to back sacks. One of them on a screen, which is that's a hard play to get a sack on because normally it's just we're trying to get the ball out. And he's playing with his hair on fire, dude. And Jalen Hill too. His second ever play in college football was a sack. That's incredible.
Shout out to Jalen for hooking it up with the kids 2 weeks ago against Lafayette.
Dude, that's
signing their
awesome.
jerseys. Ball player.
Hell yeah, dude. From the state of Oregon too, an Oregon kid getting it done on the field, man. It's great to see. And then Nico Taylor, the big play at the end of the game on that third down where Eckhouse is rolling to his right and Nico trips him up, his helmet falls off and he's shaking, he's yelling, "Yeah." Dude, where has that been all season? The boys played with so much fire. It was incredible.
They played like they just didn't care. And that's
Yes.
why you miss that edge, right? Where you just don't care every week. And again, I don't know if that's a product of Coach Akey or if it's a product of just this team finally getting a win and them realizing like, man, we can do this. It took 7 games to finally figure it out, 8 games, but we did it. And we can this Oregon State defensive team that we've seen the last couple of weeks, Rob, like it reminds me of a Trent Bray led defense, just dudes flying around everywhere.
Yep.
And our player of the game, obviously on defense, was
Mr. Jaheim Patterson, dude.
Patterson, my lord.
We got to keep
Have
recruiting
a
those Texas kids, bro. We have to.
freaking game. I don't care how much money we have in our NIL next year, but it needs to go to Mr. Patterson in bags to his front door, please. My
Throw it to him,
gosh.
man.
I mean, from the get-go, that first pick, great. Just, I mean, when
Tone
we
setter.
talk about a big game against Washington State, that changes the feel of that game right away. And that's what you need. You need your defense to come out and do something for you when, against Lafayette, you saw the offense, mostly Hank, get rolling finally, right? And something, again, that we missed all year. Now your defense comes out and they're making plays. They're getting stops for your offense to go out and do it. And it was just great. We've missed it for 9 weeks. We finally, against a quality opponent in Washington State, all credit to them. They're not a terrible team.
No,
by
they're
any
very
means.
solid.
Yeah. So this should not be taken lightly by anybody, this fan base at all. Like, this is a very solid win against a very quality opponent. And to see the defense come out and do what they did, and I tweeted it out. It's funny what happens when you put pressure on a quarterback. When you don't give them hours to sit in a pocket to pick you apart, when you're forcing a quarterback to go out and make plays, it's like everything that we felt that defenses have been doing to Oregon State, we finally returned the favor in one game. That's what it felt
Yep.
like. And it had to be so cool to sit there and see that, man. Like it just I'm getting goosebumps talking about it right now. And it sounds stupid, but I mean, it felt like Beaver football was finally back.
Yes. And from seeing this team in person in Lubbock to seeing this team just last Saturday in Corvallis, completely different energy. They went into that game at Texas Tech with the game was over as soon as they stepped on the field. You could just see it in
Before
them.
it started.
They had no
Yeah.
energy with them. They didn't want to be there. They knew they were going to get killed. They had no belief. There was no belief there. And that's on the head coach, man. And I found myself as the game was going on, when you're sitting and watching on TV, you don't get to see a lot of the sideline stuff. But when you're at the game, I made it a very valiant effort to keep my eyes on the sideline. What's going on over there? What are the coaches doing? What are the other players doing? And dude, the life on the sideline is there. They're getting excited. They're throwing towels everywhere. They're going nuts. And there was a timeout late in the first half, I think that Wazzu took when we were driving. Dude, it was right before we kind of stalled out on that field goal to take that initial 3-0 lead. But that initial timeout that Wazoo took to kind of be like, let's settle down here, the boys on the Beaver bench ran off the bench and got everybody huddled up and they were fired up. And I'm like, look at the boys, dude. Look at them. This is a Rob Akey style team, man. This is how he coached at Idaho. High energy. We're going to fly around and we're going to just play hard no matter what. And yeah, the offense sucked all game. They stunk it up. It was pretty pathetic to watch. Jabari Johnson was just very, just not a very good quarterback. He managed the game pretty poorly. I think he has a hard
Very
time
Malik
seeing over.
Murphy like.
He has a hard time seeing over the offensive line. His receivers aren't getting a ton of separation. He's not able to run against a good defensive front like Washington State has. So the best part of his game is just kind of taken away. But what did we see? We saw Anthony Hankerson, who had hardly any holes to run through all game long, but he still finds a way to get 132 yards on 25 touches. It's just he's a stud, dude. And nobody expects Oregon State to go out there, and do anything. Nobody really cares outside of Oregon State's fan base. But Anthony Hankerson, man, this is a true captain. He is a true leader, and he leads by example. Just watch the way he runs with the football, dude. On that early 3rd and 1,
Yeah.
where he's
Perfect.
just
Downhill.
yes, dude, hitting a hat on a hat and he's spinning off of it and just getting an extra yard because his offensive line does not want to block for him all year long. So he's doing it himself. It's one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen at Oregon State. And again, he's just battling through that. And he's still at the end of the game. He's, hey, shout out to my old line. They did the job tonight. And my dad and I are like, no, they didn't. You did. You did all of that work, dude. And his big run after the big Malik throw to Taz Reddix, dude. I posted this on X. When Malik Murphy steps into a throw, you're like, there it is. That's what we paid all that money for. I'm trying not to have my voice crack. I'm struggling over here. But there it was, dude. Back shoulder on a rope, and Taz Reddix gets a toe down. Dude, that's a great catch from Taz. Probably his best play as a Beav.
For sure.
And that's one of the best throws you'll see Malik make in a Beaver uniform, man. That is what we have been missing. But unfortunately, Malik still has that statue syndrome when there's a blitz, dude. Especially when they go empty.
What are you talking about?
And you
when
posted
they rush
it.
forward.
And you posted it. It's like, oh, when Malik comes in, yeah, just bring the house. He's not going to go anywhere. And that's the MO against him. It's just get after him because he's not going to go anywhere. He just gets stuck in the mud. It's like he has concrete over his cleats. It's insane, dude. But he had time and 2 big back-to-back explosive plays, and that was the difference in the ball game. And that was just, dude, in the 4th quarter, man, Reeser came alive. It felt like a little bit of the old days, a little bit when the team was good. You're like, oh, there's the energy. Hey, on 3rd down, most of the day, fans were not getting loud. They weren't that excited. At the end of the night, everybody was up making noise, and you could feel the energy in the stadium again. And, man, I just really quickly before I touch on the last, let's do it really quick. Special teams was the difference in the end, actually, because the Beavs did give up that huge 47-yard punt return. And I looked at my dad and I was like, I've seen this movie before. We're going to lose the game. And, hey, man, Jack Stevens, apparently there's a fan heckling him all game long saying, you're going to miss a big kick. You're going to miss a big kick. Wide right, baby. And I'm sitting on that end zone, and I was just watching that upright, and if I can see the football, he missed it, and that was incredible, dude. Just the pure elation in the stadium is incredible. But I love the fight from the boys, man. They had no business winning that game, especially how bad they played on offense. But this Rob Akey team currently just has a little bit of different juice to them. And I wouldn't be like, overly thrilled if he was the head coach, but dude, I'm very close to being on this Akey train. He just tugs at your heartstrings. He he just sounds and looks like a Beaver football coach. Does he not?
He
Just blue
does. And
collar.
here's the thing, and the only reservation I have is in my brain is I want to get out of this close, tight knit relationship hire at Oregon
And
State,
that's fair.
The comfort hire. I love Coach Akey. The things that he has done to this team in the last 2 to 3 weeks has been unreal, and you're seeing it translated on the field also. And again, like culture shock, whatever it was after Bray got fired, the boys are bought in right now, and they're bought into every single thing Coach Akey's saying. And when you see them come out and grind a win like they did on Saturday, I don't. I'm willing to bet nobody saw that happening, and I know I didn't. I tweeted at one point late in the game. I was like, it just felt like with the defensive battle it was, this felt like Washington State should have been up by 40 points though. Like
Yeah.
just when you think about what they've done hanging with Ole Miss and some of these other teams, like what is this coming into Research Stadium that we're seeing right now? It's the Washington State team that our friend John Sukanic warned us about last week. And it's we got him. We got him and it feels good. Now, my only issue is with this is what happens afterwards with some of these Washington State fans on social media is
Yeah,
like
dude.
snooping down to like Oregon Duck fan level. Like, what happened? Like, I don't understand. Like, where did you guys come into this? Like, oh, you guys still suck. Like, thing. Like, we deal with that from everybody.
They're trying to call us little brother.
Like, what are you doing? Like,
Brother,
take
you
the
can't
beating
little brother. You are the little brother of Washington.
like a man and just deal with it. Like again, and there wasn't hardly again. I think our fan base right now on social media is so like we don't. There's not a lot of people talking crap like there normally is. There's some people that will shoot their shots still. I am very much a person that's not talking crap. I'll save receipts and I'll cash in on them afterwards, like I did on a
Yeah.
few people, some Kook fans. But just the snooping down of just I don't even know what you call it. It's just a bunch of BS. Like I wouldn't expect that from Washington State. I just never seen that from Washington State. So how were the fans there, Rob? The Washington. I don't know if you were sitting around some Coug fans or
Yeah.
like what the vibe was with them before and after during the middle of the game.
It was good. I mean, there was actually a good amount of spattering of Cougs fans, and they're always great in person, right? And there was a big group of Coug fans right near us, super friendly people. They were just having a good time, and some friendly, fun banter because there was a lot of unsportsmanlike conduct in the game. There's some personal fouls, and at one point the
But
stadium
that
was
fire
playing.
that we're talking about, the boys had fire again.
They did, and they're playing the "Why Can't We Be Friends" over the stadium PA. It was
That's
hilarious,
awesome.
dude. And there's just like there's a Cougar fan like a few rows ahead of me, and he was because we were waiting to see what the call was on an unsportsmanlike, and I'm like, are you guys gonna stop fighting us? Like, what's going on? Like, remember when we first had that Pac-2 game it was the DJU game against Cam Ward,
Yes.
and I don't remember the name of the receiver, but he spit in Ryan Cooper's face. It's like, why do you guys keep doing this? It's always you guys. Like, what is going on? Why are you guys so chippy? And it happened again on Saturday. They killed themselves with those penalties, but hey, man, it was a right kind of game, and I was feeling pretty wide from all the beer I had. So it was wide and it was
Ayo.
right. It was wide and it was right. Yeah. But a great day, dude. It was a fun day to be a Beeve, to get on the field, and it's not a field storming. The timer goes off on the Jumbotron, and then you can go on the field. It's not a field storming. If you want to know what a field storming is, look up 2008 against USC. That is what a field storming is.
I was there.
Or 1998 against Oregon. That is a field storming twice. So
I was 2-year-old.
it was four. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, man, two in a row. Sam Houston, just to get into them a little bit. I don't know anything about these guys. They freaking stink. They're horrible.
Who are they?
They're winless. They're Bearcats with a K. They've they've played some tight games, but they let it get away late because they just make a ton of mistakes. they're struggling. They went 10-3 a year ago, lost like their entire coaching staff and roster, and this is the effect that you see when a coach leaves a school like this. This is what you get, right? And they're struggling this year. The Beavers should absolutely take care of business this weekend. They could trot out Jabari Malik or Tristan Tia at quarterback. I don't think it would matter. They would take care of business no matter what. So it's senior night. Go to the game, man. Coach Ray Pickering was mentioning, hey, we gotta get everybody in those seats, man. Say our proper goodbyes to our seniors who gave it all for this program. Rob Akey said the same thing today at his press conference. So if you're able to go to the game, man, it's a night game, I understand. But try to get out there. It's the last home game of the season. It's the last time you'll probably see the Beavs in person. So I advise to go to the game if you are able to. My keys to the game are 3 words: belt to ass. Get at it, these guys. Let's get a big win again. And my worries of the game are I have none. This team stinks.
Yeah, I agree with everything, right? I would imagine the spread should be pretty decent this week. I
18 and a
would
half.
hope. Yeah, right. So cover the spread, please. Like, there's no reason you shouldn't, but just come out and play Oregon State football. The same football that we've seen the last few weeks, right? There's no reason to change anything up this week against a lesser opponent, I guess you could say. But just come play your brand of football. Establish Hank, get it going, and that's the key to the game, right? And quarterback room's miserable. We don't know what Tristan Tia can do, and that sucks. Hopefully, maybe we see some Tia time this week. I don't know.
Maybe.
But I also don't have any worries of the game either, Rob. It kind of feels weird, but I mean, we're technically 2-0. So is Coach Akey, and we're undefeated. And who knows if College Game Day is going to show up this week?
Oh yeah, are they going to Lubbock for a top 10 matchup? Why would they do that? That's stupid.
No. Hell no.
And no, I'm not going to go fly the flag, dude. Josh, okay, the damn flag Facebook page asks every week, hey, is anybody in the area who could fly the flag? And I get a notification on Facebook, hey, Josh tags you in a post, and you just tag my name that I could fly the flag and love it, dude. I'm not going back to
Why
Lubbock,
not, bro? You don't want a tortilla toss anymore, or wait?
They can't do. They don't. They're not allowed to do it
that
anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm glad I partaked in it. That was
Yeah,
partook in it.
history.
Dang, hard.
History.
Yeah, it was great, dude. I'm never going back to that asshole of a shitty dude. Oh my goodness, I don't want to fly a flag at 8 in the morning in Lubbock, Texas, dude. I'm good off that. I'm good off that. That's also a very far drive. I'm good off that. Let's get into our Hannah Score. Hannah Grace Score predictions brought to you by the Hannah Grace family, a nonprofit located in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon City, Oregon. Hannah Grace is a local organization that serves foster children and children facing instability through a free music program, visitation, support, and more. You can visit them at hannahgrace.org. That is HANNAHGRACE.org. Belt to ass, baby. Beavs 34, Bearcats 10. Josh.
Did you change your score prediction?
I did. I had us scoring like over 40 points, but after what I saw last week, I don't think we can score 40. But hey, this could be worse than Lafayette. You know, I don't know.
It could be. I got the Bees winning 35-3. Nice. I wanted to put 0 so bad, but I just couldn't. So I gave them a field goal and we'll just deal with it, right?
Fair enough. I do think. I mean, the Bearcats have shown some. I've watched them a little bit this year just because every time they play on weeknights a lot, and I'll just pop them on the TV just to see what they're doing. And they can score a little bit, but again, they run into so many mistakes. They get penalized a lot. And yeah, they're an own whatever team. They're terrible. So you got to take care of business. And like you said, got to play some Oregon State football. This Rob Akey brand of football is tough, gritty, just getting after you. No quitting these boys. And right now it's undefeated. So I'm going to take that to the bank with me. And I just wanted to close before we get to some other notes here about the basketball teams. When this coaching carousel gets really spinning, y'all, it's going to be really difficult to get who we want as a fan base, right? I think the main consensus here was like Jason X sounds like a great fit for Oregon State. Okay, well, New Mexico is having a really good season under him. They're already bowl eligible, and they still have a whole month to go here. He is a Wisconsin guy. He played there, and they're more than likely going to have a job opening here when Luke Fickell inevitably gets fired. And they're going to look at Jason Eck, and they're probably going to go after him pretty good. And that's probably a dream job for Jason Eck. So there's certain scenarios where it's like, Dad, that guy sounds really great for us, but I don't know if it's going to work out. And Ryan made that point about Coach Vegan too, how he denied going to the FBS and he wanted to stay at his Montana State job. So there's also that factor as well. Sometimes, and I know again, a lot of people are not going to agree with this. They've been very clear about we don't want Rob Akey at all. But sometimes what you're looking for is right at your feet. And I wouldn't hate it. He's still got to earn it, right? It's only 2-0. It's a FCS win and a, average to decent FBS win at home. But I love what Rob has brought so far. I'm not really falling in love with like, oh yeah, because they have 2 wins, you're gonna pick him. No, I'm not really falling in love with that. I'm falling in love with the energy that the team currently has. And if you're truly a player's coach, that's what happens, man. After Rob was done with that post-game TV press conference on the field, players are waiting for him to celebrate. Okay, they weren't doing that with Trent, man. And I found myself during that game being like, I didn't see this kind of fire from the defensive line under the previous defensive coordinator. I didn't see that, right? And hey, hats off. Maybe I was wrong about Coach Tawaki. He's called a great defense so far, and he's done incredible things with the defensive line this season. That's someone who's completely turned the page for me as a coach, because at first I was all over him. But now it seems like, hey, 6 sacks in a game. You could do that against Wazzu, who has a pretty solid offensive line. You could do it against anybody the rest of the season.
Yeah.
You can definitely do it against Sam Houston. You can definitely do it against Tulsa, which that's an 8-hour drive for me.
Oh, so you're going to go to freaking Tulsa, but you want to go fly the freaking flag for damn unreal, bro.
This is in 2 weeks, though. It's not this upcoming week.
Unreal. Well, game day will be in Tulsa, so we're good.
Yeah. For the ESPN Plus game at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That game's at noon Central Standard Time Zone. So it's an 8-hour drive.
Do it.
I told my dad, I was like, depending on how things go against Wazoo, maybe I make that trip to Tulsa. I might just sleep in my car in a Walmart parking lot and just
You're fine.
Go to the game, drive on back home. I'm thinking about it. I'm contemplating it because I love me some Rob Akey, dude. I gotta admit, I love the dude. I think he just brings such a good, positive energy to what this football program desperately needed. So, yeah, anyway, basketball tonight against North Dakota State. They tip off here in about 30 minutes. So this is my reaction if they won. Yay, good job. It's a good win against North Dakota State. This is my reaction if they lost. Fire Wayne Tinkle. Okay. And then UIC is on Friday, and they actually are on the tail end of a back-to-back with the women. They play against Corbin, which should be an easy dub for both the men and women. Should be a pretty good, decent start to both seasons, as the men's schedule is fairly easy to start the year. So they should be off and rolling, getting some camaraderie, building that chemistry is very important, especially in this era of the transfer portal of college basketball. It is insane. So appreciate you guys for listening. Remember to follow us on X at Chainsaw Crew and on TikTok at Chainsaw_Crew. Subscribe on YouTube, like the video, comment. It helps us quite a bit. And also, find us on Instagram now. Josh made us a fancy new Instagram. It is at Chainsaw Crew 23.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Hold on. Let's buy some time here because I don't remember the username.
Very half-assed podcast effort here from us, honestly. I should have looked it up beforehand, but if you're listening, you're the best.
Yeah, Chainsaw Crew 23.
Hell yeah, I got it right. See, I should have had faith, dude. I should have had faith the whole time. Josh, any last words, man, before we get out of here?
Just another thank you to Ryan for coming on and sitting in his car being wet. Like, that's just incredible. And I know he's busy just doing some absolute work for the university. So, Ryan, thank you for coming on and taking some time out of your day. And it's only up from here. I think we have an interesting guest coming on next week, hopefully. And it's something that we've been in the making for quite a bit now. So if it does come to fruition, then I think a lot of people will be very excited for this. So we'll just keep working it and see what happens. And if not, we'll just keep chugging along. And just like this Coach Akey led football team will.
Yes, sir, dude. I always want to see these kids smile again, man. That was pretty fun. How'd you like that? Dude, he's the best. Thank you guys for listening, man. Go Beavs. Go to the game. It is senior night, last home game of the season. Remember, you don't get that many football games. You might regret it. Go to the game. See you later. go Beavs, mother. 2-7, mother. Let's go.